Congressman, the White House Communications Director, Jen Psaki, she said on CNN's New Day this morning that the United States needs to, in her words, and I'm quoting her now, adopt our strategy in the fight against ISIS. Here's the question. Why has it taken so long for the administration to admit that the current strategy is clearly not working, that they need to come up with something better?
Well, I think we need to go back to what that strategy originally was. It was one of turning the Iraqi government around so that we have a new government, and one that was much broader in context, that it wasn't just based on the Shias. That has happened, but it is not yet complete. And we also had to rebuild the Iraqi army, which was in disarray. All of that's going to has taken, and will take some additional time. So the real problem that we're going to have to deal with is, what is adaptation? Does adaptation mean that we're going to have to send boots on the ground? I think not. And at some point, the U.S. Congress is going to have to carry out its constitutional responsibility of coming to grips with a declaration of war, or what we now call an authorization to use military force. We have not done that. Most have just sat back and thrown verbal stones at the situation, where we really are going to have to vote yes or no. What are we actually going to do in Iraq and Syria?
I spent some time earlier today with Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. I assume you know her. She served a tour of duty in Iraq before she went to the United States Congress. She told me very specifically that the United States should stop, in her words, propping up that central government, Shia-led government in Baghdad. Listen to what she said.
We need to make sure that we stop continuing this failed policy of supporting and propping up this central government in Baghdad, and this fantasy, really, of a one unified country of Iraq, and support this three-state solution of empowering the Sunni tribes, empowering the Kurds, and the Shias, each of them having three autonomous territories, rather than continuing what we've seen really has failed for so long. By doing this, we can get rid of the oxygen that has allowed ISIS to maintain its stronghold here within this area of Iraq.
All right, what do you think, Congressman? You agree with her?
Well, I don't really agree with her. It has been discussed. It continues to be discussed. Actually, the borders were drawn shortly after World War I by the Europeans. And in many respects, the United States has become the executor of those agreements that were made nearly a century ago. So there is a realignment taking place, but boy, I'll tell you, you start changing those borders, and you've got Turkey, you've got other countries that are going to look at that and go, I don't know if that's a good idea. So we've got to move very, very cautiously before we head down any path that way. Will it become a reality? Or you take a look, what's going to come of Baghdad? Is Baghdad then going to become a suburb of Iran? They are already close. So we've got to think through this thing. And right now, the policy that's been established is one that is best suited for the current situation. We are going to have to be willing to adapt and change as things move along. One thing that has not taken place fully in that original strategy was to bring in the surrounding countries that are directly threatened by ISIL. For example, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the other Gulf states. They've stood on the sidelines. They did a little bit of military aircraft bombing early on. They may be doing a little bit now, but they certainly have not put their boots